Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square with T-Square Talks. Hope everybody's having a great day. Got a great video planned out for you guys today. Today I want to talk a little bit about the idea of auditing Fort Knox and auditing our gold. We've touched up on this a little bit in the past. However, since now everybody is talking about it, I figured, you know what, let's dedicate a video to it and kind of give our thoughts on what we think about this and essentially what it means for the gold, what it means for the country, what it means for Fort Knox, why are we doing it? A lot of different questions come up with this, and so I think it's important that we talk about it. Before we get started, I'd like to ask all of you, take a quick minute, please, and hit that thumbs up button for me. Help me out. If you're not subscribed, please take a minute, hit that subscribe button. We are trying to grow the channel, and the more subscribers, the better. Also, I'd like to take a quick minute and thank all of our members of the channel. For those of you that don't know, it is only $1.99 to become a member, and every month we do some sort of a special event where you have a shot at winning some free silver, and for $1.99, it's super inexpensive and it helps out the channel. With that being said, let's jump in real quick and just see what happened yesterday with gold. So gold had been climbing up throughout the week, and then just before, at the end of the day, we've seen it plunge down. What does that actually mean? Why did that happen? You know, that drop that we saw, yeah, it looks big to some people, 1.5%. However, to me, it's just a buying opportunity. I'm continuing to pick up stuff because what we're actually seeing with silver is really good, in my opinion. We're seeing, whether it's a daily thing, we're seeing it climb up. Whether it's a 30-day thing, we're seeing it climb up. With 60 days, we're seeing it climb up. A 6-month window, we've seen it climb. 1 year, we've seen it climb. 5 years, we've seen it climb. 10 years, we've seen it climb. We're continuing to see it climb. So when you have at the end of a day a drop, 1.5%, it's, to me, it's nothing. It's just noise. And it gives them something to talk about. And, you know, nothing goes up straight. It's never a straight line. You see a lot of ups and downs, and we've seen these little drops, as you can see on these 30-day chart, and I'm convinced next Friday it's going to be even higher than it is now. So none of this worries me at all. Taking a quick look at gold trading at $2,935. Again, we're seeing that continually climb higher and higher. We've seen it a little higher throughout the week as we hit new all-time highs again this past week. But again, at the end of the day, I gotta say, we're continuing to always see gold moving up higher and higher. And what this does, in my opinion, is it does let people know what's really going on. People start to realize that there is a huge debasement in the U.S. dollar, and it's not just the U.S. dollar. It's actually all fiat currencies around the world. To some people, they'll make it sound like the dollar's doing great. When you look at the DXY chart, yeah, it looks like it's doing great, but it's just because you're comparing the dollar to other countries' currency that we've chosen. No one is comparing the dollar to something like gold or some other commodity, because all commodities are continuing to go up and currencies of the world are continuing to go down. And that's where a lot of questions start to come up with the strength of the dollar and, you know, what this means for the dollar, where it's going. And that's why now we're hearing a lot more talk about gold and the gold at Fort Knox, because gold is climbing, and a lot of people are starting to ask the question, do we even have our gold? And I think that's why you're seeing more and more talk now of potentially Trump auditing the gold, Musk auditing the gold, a few other senators wanting to check the gold. The question is, when's the last time we actually did a full audit on our gold? Now, this is kind of funny here because it gets a little hazy. The last public that everything on record that points to is September 23rd, 1974. That's what they're saying, the last full audit of the U.S. gold stocks stored at Fort Knox. Now, I don't know how many people caught that one little thing in there that I had read, and I read it a few times, and I was like, what? What does that mean exactly? They didn't say gold. They didn't say inventory. They said gold stocks. Now, that kind of worried me just a little bit. It could just be a typo. I kind of wondered, though, what the purpose of that was, why they put gold stocks. But who knows? There again, I'm not really going to, I guess, put too much into that just yet, because it's inevitable we're probably going to be auditing the full inventory of what we have. Now, what I did find most interesting too, though, is the claim that we audit it every single year. We do an audit, and the last full audit was done in September, I guess. And here you can hear exactly what they said. Listen.
Here, I can tell the American people on camera.
See, so
here I can tell the American people on camera right now that there was a report September 30th, 2024. All the gold is there. Any U.S. senator who wants to come and visit it can arrange a visit through our office.
Gold was your biggest hold.
Now, I found that interesting. They said any senator that wants to go. A lot of senators have wanted to go, including Ron Paul. And who was the other one just recently? He wanted to be on the list. Rand Paul. And obviously, you know Ron Paul, since he's been a huge speaker on gold and silver. But with that being said, you have to understand, I'm not convinced it's as open as they admit. Now, here's another funny thing. Despite them wanting to go do a full audit on the gold, the key thing that people have to understand is the gold is stored at multiple locations. And this kind of gives them a little bit to stand on. Some is at Fort Knox. The majority, 56% of the gold is at Fort Knox. They also have some stored in Kentucky, Denver, Colorado, West Point, New York, and other locations. Now, here's the thing. I'm not convinced that they can, unless you're going to send teams to all locations at one time, or really close together. But if you're going to audit one location today, one location in a month from now, and so on, I don't really consider that a full audit, because anything can move. Now, you're not going to be able to move it, from even the next day. I'm not convinced they can move the gold from Fort Knox to Kentucky, Denver, Colorado, West Point. And I'm not sure if, because Fort Knox, I believe, is in Kentucky. I'm not sure if that is two locations or if they just said there's also some stored in Kentucky at other locations, or what they mean by that. So who knows? But some of y'all may not have even heard the claims. Obviously, this was a clip of Trump.
We're actually going to Fort Knox because I want to see, do we have the gold? Do we still have whatever it is, tons of gold? I hope we do. Wouldn't that be disappointing? Fort Knox. You grow up hearing about Fort Knox. You can't get in. You can't even see it. Nobody sees it. You go there and the place is dry. Would that be terrible?
Would it be terrible? I think it would probably pretty much be the end of the U.S. dollar if they were going to let it go. And the truth of the matter is, once this audit happens, I can already tell you what the answer is going to be. They have the gold. It's beautiful. We got a picture that we posted for you guys. Because if the gold's not there, can you imagine? It wouldn't be terrible. It would be devastating. Nobody would want the dollar instantly. The gold may not physically back the U.S. dollars today, but it does put us in the driving seat a little bit. Let's be honest. The fact that other countries think we have as much gold as we have kind of makes people understand that, even if we did default, which obviously nobody wants that to happen, if we did default, we still have gold. We still have gold. At the end of the day, gold gives us abilities to do a lot of different stuff with it. You saw what happened with Russia when everything broke out over there. What did they do? They started using gold to trade with other countries for stuff they needed. And, that's it. Gold is the key. And so the fact that they want to audit it, I think it is important. However, there's no way they're going to come out and tell you it wasn't there. I don't even think Trump would even admit that. Take a look at this clip.
We're going to Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
Are they going to?
You know that we're going to go into Fort Knox.
President Donald Trump is having Elon Musk.
I found it funny because at that clip right there that I just showed you, he was actually, I believe, on Air Force One or getting ready to go on Air Force One. Actually, they were already on it because they kind of hit turbulence. And I was watching another video, and someone made a comment. They better be careful what they start poking into, otherwise they're going to hit a whole lot more turbulence. Making a joke that, a lot of people understand what happened in the past when you mess with the Fed, essentially. Some people will say the Fed, I've even heard people say the Fed took out Kennedy. Now, I mean, obviously this is not a Kennedy video. I don't want to get too much into it. But there's a lot of conspiracies around his executive order putting silver back into money, and then instantly the next day, no Kennedy. And all of a sudden that executive order was pretty well shot down right off the bat and ended there. So a lot of people wonder, where does this leave us and what this means? Now, the truth of the matter is, if we don't have the gold, it is going to be devastating on the U.S. dollar. But does it really change anything if they come out and say the gold's all there? The truth of the matter is, there's already too much doubt in the world now in the U.S. dollar. Because why? Because we've utilized the U.S. dollar as a weapon. We essentially went in, took all of Russia's built-up holdings in U.S. dollars and confiscated them. And that's pretty much weaponizing it. It would be like me paying you to do some work for me, but pretend for a minute I have a restaurant, and I am going to pay you in gift cards from my restaurant. You come over, you do a little work. Hey, here's $100 worth of gift cards. You come over another day, $100 worth of gift cards. But then imagine if all of a sudden I told you you can't use your gift cards here anymore. They're all voided out. They're all expired. They're all whatever the case may be. Yes, that would be devastating. You would not want to obviously do any work for me. If I called you up the next day or a week later and said, hey, I need you to come over and do some work for me, I'm going to give you some more gift cards. Why would I want your gift cards at that point? Why would you want them? You wouldn't. Why? Because I've already cheated you, essentially, on the first ones. And that's kind of what we did. I hate to say that, because that, to me, will go down as probably one of the most devastating blows to the dollar, the fact that we did that. Now, like what's going on or don't like it, I'm not saying I'm against. I'm not saying I'm for, obviously. But I am saying that, when you start messing with something like that, I mean, having the world reserve currency in the U.S. dollars gives us a huge advantage. It allows us to print money out of thin air, send it to other countries, and take their goods. Take whatever their goods are that they want to give us. They want to give us oil. They want to give us coffee beans. They want to give us avocados. It doesn't matter. We're taking an actual item, and we're giving them paper currency. Now, I know some people out there are going to say, well, they need the U.S. dollar because who's going to buy that? I mean, here's the thing. If even though we're buying it in paper. I mean, their people in their country, they can drink it. They can eat it. They can use those resources. They can actually have something that brings them a better quality of life. Why? They have more stuff. They can have new cars. They can have all this different stuff. They don't need physical paper. Now, people like the paper, obviously, because, let's be honest. I mean, having extra paper, you find someone else that will accept it. And there's always a bigger fool, and we've talked about the bigger fool theory before, and there's always going to be someone that wants dollars up until the day there's not. And that will lie the problem of what is going to happen when nobody does want the dollars. And then essentially they're going to have to find something else that they want to work for. Now, will that be a barter system where you trade goods for goods? Or will that be essentially we go back on a gold standard? Because you can trade good for goods. Obviously, that works great. But having one common item that everybody wants is what really makes it good. And that's kind of where gold and silver come in. That's why I believe there's a lot more people buying gold right now than ever before. I think there's a lot of people buying silver than ever before, too. However, we're not seeing the silver go up quite as much as gold. And that lies a big question, is we're being told one thing. Silver's not really doing that good. It's not gold. It's not monetary. These are the types of things that people want to tell us. But the truth of the matter is, as more and more people are buying it, we have to wonder if what they're telling us is true, and maybe people aren't buying it. Hypothetically, let's just put that out there for a quick second, or if it's propaganda to convince us that people aren't buying it. And what's really happening is the manipulation that we have shown, proved, and you can look that up if you have any doubts on that. I'm not going to get too much into that because we've proved there is manipulation. There's huge amounts of short contracts getting pushed on the market as people are buying it up. I mean, you look at trading the other day, and then all of a sudden, look at the very end. You tell me this wasn't a coordinated sell-off right here? When you see this many sells all at once, and then you see some buying. Obviously, someone started buying right here, and then all of a sudden, it just plunged even more, which means there was a lot of selling taking place here to be able to offset that buy bar in volume right there. And the truth of the matter is, I think people recognize this is still a buying opportunity. Do I think it could go a little lower? I would love to see it go a little lower, but I think I'm probably going to be putting in an order before the markets open up on Sunday, because I'm convinced that we will probably see silver right back over 33, maybe even 34 next week. And I'm basing that off of following the last 30 days, the way the climbs are. We broke up higher again into the $33 range, and then we just got beat down. However, I'm convinced that we will top that as we've hit it here and we've hit it here. I'm convinced that we're going to see another jump up that will take us to probably, like I said, 33 and change, maybe even 34 and change. And then we might see it pull back down a little bit to 33.50 at the end of next week. So we'll see how that plays out. I thank you all for watching. I don't want the video to get too long. I do ask again, if you did not hit that thumbs up button and you're still here, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button, leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts. And if you're not subscribed, do the ultimate, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys again on T-Square Talk. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll see what happens with the whole audit and stuff. Thank you again, and take care, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.